Wealth inequality. It's a term thrown around a lot these days, but what does it actually mean, and why should we care? Wealth inequality refers to the unequal distribution of assets within a population. Imagine a pie chart, but instead of equal slices, a tiny sliver represents the wealth of the majority, while a monstrous chunk belongs to a select few. This lopsided distribution impacts everything from our economies to our societies. It's a systemic issue that touches every aspect of our lives. Stay with us as we explore how we got here and what we can do about it. Let's dive into the economic mechanisms behind wealth inequality. Now, I know what you're thinking. This is where things get boring, but trust me, this is crucial to understand. When wealth is concentrated in the hands of a few, it creates a drag on economic growth. Why? Because those at the top tend to save more of their income, while those with less spend a greater proportion on essential goods and services. This reduced spending power among the majority weakens overall demand, leading to slower economic growth. It's like trying to run an engine on fumes. It might sputter along for a while, but it's not sustainable in the long run. But that's not all. Wealth inequality also contributes to economic instability. Think back to the 2008 financial crisis, a prime example of what happens when too much wealth is concentrated at the top. This imbalance creates a house of cards, vulnerable to collapse when things go south. Tax policies, wage stagnation, and corporate practices play significant roles in this dynamic. Take Scandinavian countries, for example. With progressive tax policies and strong social safety nets, they have lower levels of wealth inequality and more stable economies. Contrast this with many Latin American countries, where high levels of wealth inequality correlate with economic instability and social unrest. Wage stagnation and corporate practices that prioritize shareholder profits over fair wages exacerbate the problem. Understanding these mechanisms is key to addressing wealth inequality and fostering a more stable and prosperous economy for all. Here's a newsflash. Humans are social creatures. We crave connection, belonging, and a sense of shared purpose. But when wealth inequality runs rampant, it tears at the very fabric of our social contract. Trust erodes, resentment festers, and societies become increasingly polarized. Think of it like a game of Monopoly where one player owns everything, and everyone else is just trying not to go bankrupt. It's not exactly a recipe for a fun and harmonious game night, is it? This erosion of social cohesion manifests in countless ways, from increased crime rates and political instability to reduced civic engagement and a general sense of disillusionment. When people feel like the system is rigged against them, it breeds cynicism, apathy, and ultimately disengagement. Experts like psychologists and sociologists have studied these effects extensively. Wealth inequality can lead to severe mental health issues, including anxiety and depression. Community trust diminishes, making it harder for people to come together and solve common problems. Social mobility is stifled, trapping generations in cycles of poverty and limiting opportunities for advancement. As sociologist Dr. Smith notes, the psychological toll of feeling left behind can be devastating. Yet, there are ways to rebuild trust and foster social cohesion, starting with community initiatives and inclusive policy. By addressing wealth inequality, we can create a more connected, healthier society for everyone. Section 4. Health, crime, education, and mistrust. The domino effect of inequality. Wealth inequality impacts health, safety, education, and trust in institutions. Studies show a correlation between income inequality and negative health outcomes. Those at the bottom often lack access to quality healthcare and safe housing. Wealth inequality also affects mental and social well-being. Increased stress and social isolation are linked to economic disparity. Education suffers as schools in poorer areas lack resources. Crime rates are higher in areas with significant wealth disparity. Public health systems become overwhelmed. The top 1% holds more wealth than the bottom 50%. Section 5. Our beleaguered planet, wealth inequality and environmental degradation. Let's be clear, climate change is the biggest existential threat facing humanity, and wealth inequality is fanning the flames. Those at the top, with their lavish lifestyles and insatiable consumption habits, contribute disproportionately to greenhouse gas emissions. Meanwhile, those least responsible for the climate crisis, often living in poverty, bear the brunt of its devastating impacts. from extreme weather events to rising sea levels. Talk about adding insult to injury. This isn't just about individual carbon footprints. It's about the power dynamics that shape environmental policies and investments. When the ultra-wealthy hold significant political and economic sway, it's no surprise that policies often prioritize short-term profits over long-term environmental sustainability. Specific policies, such as subsidies for fossil fuels and lax regulations on industrial pollution, exacerbate environmental degradation.
We see a direct link between wealth inequality and environmental harm, says Dr. Jane Smith, an environmental scientist. The wealthiest individuals and corporations have the resources to influence policies that benefit them, often at the expense of the environment.
Grassroots movements are crucial in holding these powerful entities accountable, adds activist John Doe. We need more equitable policies that prioritize the health of our planet and its people.
By addressing wealth inequality, we can pave the way for more sustainable and just environmental practices. Gap 3S, Section 6, Charting a Fairer Future, Solutions to Wealth Inequality. Wealth inequality is daunting, but hope is not lost. Innovative solutions are making strides globally. Gap 2S, policy changes are crucial. Progressive taxation redistributes wealth effectively. Countries like Denmark and Sweden show success. Universal basic income ensures a basic standard of living. Pilot programs show promising results. Grassroots movements drive change. The Fight for $15 campaign benefits low-wage workers. Cooperatives and social enterprises empower communities. Gap 2S, educate yourself and support economic justice. Get involved with local organizations. Gap 2S, change is possible when we work together. Let's build a fairer, more just world for everyone. Gap 3S, Section 7, further resources and actions. Understanding wealth inequality is just the beginning. To truly make a difference, continuous learning and active participation are key. Here are some invaluable resources to help you deepen your knowledge and take meaningful action. Gap 2S, first explore the works of renowned economists and scholars. Books like Capital in the 21st Century by Thomas Piketty and The Price of Inequality by Joseph Stiglitz offer profound insights into the causes and consequences of wealth inequality. Gap 2S. Next, visit online platforms and organizations dedicated to economic justice. Websites such as inequality.org, the Equality Trust, and Oxfam provide up-to-date information, reports, and ways to get involved. Gap 2S. For those interested in grassroots movements, look into joining or supporting campaigns like the Fight for $15, which advocates for a living wage, or the Global Alliance for Tax Justice, which fights for fair tax systems. Gap 2S. Podcasts and documentaries can also be powerful tools for understanding. Listen to episodes from the Pitchfork Economics podcast or watch documentaries like Inequality for All featuring Robert Reich. Gap 2S. Finally, engage with your community. Attend local meetings, participate in discussions, and support policies that aim to reduce wealth inequality. Every small action contributes to the larger goal of a fairer, more just world. Gap 2S. By educating yourself and staying involved, you become part of the solution. Together, we can tackle wealth inequality and create a brighter future for all. Gap 2S. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more insightful content. Let's make a difference together.